Yes, Peter. Hi, Peter. Peter says, I've been single for a couple years. I'm still very fast to fall in love, but now I think what's holding me back is fear of intimacy more than anything. Well, and it may be fear of intimacy. My guess is it's probably, if you have linked up in your mind that intimacy equals pain, then it's probably more the pain that intimacy in the past has caused you, which makes total sense. Total sense. So what's concerning about me is the statement of, I'm still very fast to fall in love. That is still very problematic. Okay. So remember, there's, like, not to make people hypervigilant out there. There's lots of problematic people in this world. And there's lots of people that are not problematic, but they're also just not right for you. And so it really helps when you know yourself well enough to know what does Peter like? What do I like? What am I looking for in a woman, right? And what are my deal breakers? So, and getting really, really clear on that before you start dating, especially if you are quick to fall in love. And so I would encourage you to watch my video on, I think it's Red Flags of Codependency, video number 1. It talks about love bombing. It talks about empty buckets. It talks about those of us that tend to fall in love very fast. And why that potentially is, and why that can be a big vulnerability, and how that is exploited by emotional manipulators. So I think that video will really help. It's in a playlist. If you go to my YouTube channel, look at videos, then playlists, and then the playlist is called Red Flags of Codependency. Watch that video. I think it'll be really eye-opening for you. Because here's the thing, love doesn't cause pain. Right? It's painful people cause pain. But if you can pay attention and learn the warning signs of painful people and problematic people, then when, not if, because they're out there, when you encounter them, you're going to realize, oh, I remember these feelings. I know how it feels when I'm around a painful person. If I'm feeling confusion, if I'm feeling anxiety, if I'm feeling, I have to play detective. If I'm feeling anxious or depressed or fearful or any of these feelings, this is a problematic situation. I don't need to know exactly what's off. I don't need to know, I don't need to stick around to find out. I know how I feel when I'm with a problematic person, and it's okay for me to walk away from this. So knowing that is huge, because a lot of it, I myself included, I was in a very brief relationship for a few weeks with this guy, and it was actually the catalyst to me starting this website, because I was seeing all of these red flag behaviors. And again, at the time, I was like, I can't possibly be tangled up with another crazy guy. What is going on? And so I really thought I must have issues with my past. Because I couldn't tell if he was, this amazing guy, or if he was a total nightmare. And if you can't tell, that's problematic in itself, right? So if you can't tell if this person, if you don't have clarity, like we were talking about earlier, if you don't have clarity, if you're wondering, is this person, this amazing person, or are they, a total nightmare? There's a problem. Odds are they're a total nightmare, because we know when we're around somebody that's healthy and nourishing and enjoyable. Like, we don't have those feelings. We don't doubt ourselves. But I was really doubting the situation. And I had somebody tell me, they said, well, Dana, you've sat through this. How did she put it? You've sat through this movie before. You know how it ends. You don't need to sit in here and watch this whole relationship implode before you leave. Like, you can leave now. And that was really that might sound funny, that was really profound for me, because I didn't have any like evidence. I didn't have any proof that he was problematic. I just knew how I felt. And so her saying, like you've gone down this road before, you know how it feels when something's off. It's okay to leave. It was this big aha moment of, you're right. You're right. I know enough to know that something's off, and that's all I need to know. And now I'm going to walk away. And I'm so very glad I did. He's going to watch the video. Okay, great. I highly recommend it. I think it's, yes, wanting to open up and go too deep too fast. So there's about three or so videos in that Red Flags of Codependency series there that I have put up so far. No, I didn't put the other one up yet because I didn't like it. I need to re-record it. Two, there's the one on love bombing, which is the one that I'm wanting you to watch, the first one. The second one is on rushing intimacy. So that's exactly what you're talking about. This is how problematic people operate. They, and this is because to a lot of us, this feels healthy. This feels nourishing. It feels, like I talked about before, it feels like warm maple syrup on the pancakes of our soul. Like it just feels amazing, right? And they move quick. So they're very quick to want to spend all their time with us. They're very quick to, want to have really deep conversations and tell us all about their last relationship and, like everything. But the thing is, though, with an emotional manipulator, because we tend to think people are like us, if we're taking them for face value, they may or may that may or may not even be true. I mean, it's really wild. So a lot of times they'll tell you these stories and they'll say, I've never told anybody else this before. I've never felt like this with anybody before. You're so amazing. You're so special, unique, and different, right? And so we're thinking, oh my gosh, I feel the exact same way. Like I feel so good around you. And like, I can tell you anything. That they very quickly become like your best friend, like a soulmate. Things move at this whirlwind pace. Within 10 days, they're talking about love and babies and marriage and combining lives and cell phone plans and finances and moving in together and all of that. And here we are thinking, this is like something that happens in a movie, right? Like this doesn't really happen in real life. And it's because, this doesn't really happen in real life. Healthy people, nourished people don't move at this pace. And so the video that I'm talking about with love bombing, it points out all of that behavior. It points out how it feels when we're going through that. And the rushing of intimacy too, it also points out how emotional manipulators rush intimacy. So it's not just the wanting to move in right away. They're hinting at love. They're doing a lot of this stuff, but they're also telling deeply personal stories to you like almost right away. And we're thinking that we're bonding with them, but really we're being manipulated because those stories probably aren't true anyhow. So again, the more you educate yourself about emotional manipulators and narcissism and all of this, the more you're going to see it. It's sort of like with scams on Craigslist. Like when Craigslist first came out, people were falling for scams right and left. People, even emails, like people, we were remember back in the day, we were all getting emails from like princes in Nigeria that had, $100 million in gold and they had to leave the country. And somehow it's our lucky day. They got our email address. And so they need help, and they're going to give us, they're going to send us $10 million and we just need to pay the customs clearing fee of $10,000. They'll happily reimburse us for our trouble to the tune of like $1 million, right? People were falling for it right and left. It's not that they're stupid. It's that it wasn't a known thing. Like it wasn't a known thing. Like this is a scam, right? So now that we all know better, people aren't getting so caught up in these scams anymore. And we know, okay, you get an email from Nigeria, from a prince in Nigeria, scam, done, next. If you get somebody off of a dating website and they tell you that they're somehow stationed overseas, or they're an engineer and they're overseas, or they're in the military and they're overseas and they're going to be back in 2 weeks, and you have you again, it's that feeling, it's that confusion of, that's really weird, I feel like something's off. That confusion sets in. It's because there's a problem. So now we know, okay, if anybody's claiming to be overseas and that they're going to be back in 2 or 3 weeks, odds are like it's a scam. Just like the same thing with shipping cars, right? If somebody says, I have this amazing car, I'm going to sell you at a third of what it's really worth, and I'm in the military and I'm overseas and you just need to pay the shipping fee. Craigslist now has on their site, like, offers to ship vehicles are like 100% fraudulent. Like, do not do this, because now we know better. It's the same thing with spotting problematic behavior in people off the internet. Like in real life, once we see it, the cool thing is once you see it, you see it, and you can't like not see it. But here's the thing. Here's the caveat to all of this is, once you see it, once you're awake to it, odds are other people will not be. So you're going to have the added challenge of people telling you, oh, you're being too sensitive, or yeah, it's because of your past, or they're going to justify it because they're not awake to it. That's kind of, again, one of the gifts in all of this is you're going ideally to really learn to trust your intuition. You know the signs. The second part of that is learning to trust yourself. If you're confused, if something's off, it's because something's off. We only feel like something's off when something's off. Animals have different instincts, right? Dogs have this amazing sense of smell. They can smell things as humans wouldn't even ever want to smell, right? Different animals can sense when a storm is coming. Dogs oftentimes are a really good judge of character. So different animals have different animal instincts. Human beings also have animal instincts, and we're taught to not pay attention to them, which does us a huge disservice. I don't know why we're not taught to listen to our animal instincts. It's really crazy when you think about it. Like, no, I mean, it's weird. It's weird that we don't teach kids, hey, if you feel like something's off, it's because something's off, right? But instead, we focus more on like specifics. If somebody comes up to you with a puppy or with candy, you don't go near them. Well, that's great. But what if the person that's problematic is your babysitter, or if it's, somebody at church? So we're teaching them more specifics when we should be teaching more generalities of paying attention to how you feel. So, and again, that can be crazy making. You're probably going to feel very hypervigilant. Other people are probably going to be telling you that you're very hypervigilant, and you're going to possibly feel like you're losing your mind all over again, but for a different way, because you're going to, as you go through it, you're going to be like, something's off. There's a lot of red flags here. Dana had these in her videos. I've been discussing them in these different groups, but nobody else seems to see that this is a problem except for me. And people are pushing me and they're telling me, oh, well, nobody's perfect. And, they're making excuses for their behavior. And I'm telling you, like, just, trust your judgment. Just trust your judgment, move slow, and think for yourself. Don't get pushed into anything by anybody else. When we're dating, especially, because that's a big decision. Like, who you're going to marry, who you're going to partner with is one of the biggest decisions that you can make in this life. So, and you have to live with the consequences. So whoever else, if they don't have to live with the consequences, they don't get a vote, as far as I'm concerned. Do what you feel comfortable doing. You know the situation best. You know the person best. You really, really, really do. This is why I also encourage people, if they're in a situation where they're in a toxic relationship, right? Even if the person has never been physically violent, even if they've never called them a bad name, even if they've never done anything intimidating before, if you feel like you're in danger, it's probably because you're in danger. So again, and other people may not see it, right? So police or friends or family might think like, well, come on, like they haven't done anything, or well, or if they did do something, well, they only put a letter on your windshield, or they just put a rose on by your front door, or look how sorry they are, right? But in your mind, if that fills you with fear and terror, there's a reason for that. And go with your gut. Go with your gut. Go with your gut all the time. All the time. You're not going to be sorry. Lots of love to you guys. You are not alone. You are not crazy. And you really can move forward and heal from this.